Yes, what's up guys? Back with another session. And in today's session, I want to talk about my free course and my free educational content, as well as going over some charts. So let's get started right away. All right, so this is the website of my company, CDFXtrading.com. And if you want access to my free materials, so my free course, free training, free Wyckoff ebook, etc., you have to hover over blog and click on free FX materials. Now, usually you have to sign up, but I'm logged in into a test account. So I can show you the materials. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on these materials, but I've noticed I still get a lot of questions from people that want to know certain things, and I've answered all those questions in these free materials. So if you are new to trading, if you know someone who is new to trading and wants to build a decent foundation, these materials can definitely help with improving their knowledge about trading. So let's take a look. First of all, the free webinar. This is a free training I've held in the past, which is 1 hour long and which basically explains the path to profitability. So I highly recommend that you watch it if you haven't already. Next thing, free Wyckoff ebook. A lot of people are getting into trading these days and want to learn more about the Wyckoff method. And I've noticed that so many people teach this method, but a lot of people teach it, in my opinion, the wrong way, and they don't label the things well, they don't approach it the right way. So I basically made a small ebook going over how I approach it and how I use it in my trading, to give you some ideas to implement it in your own trading. It's completely free and you can find it in the free area. Next thing, free Forex course. Some of you might have already watched this. This is basically a free Forex course that I made that's on YouTube, and it goes over all the things beginners need to know to become a profitable trader. Once again, completely free. Next thing is a free system development course. And this is a series I'm building with the prop firm BlueFX. And with BlueFX, I'm basically releasing one episode almost every single week, and it's all about building a profitable trading system. And it's very useful. I think we provide a lot of value. So if you are interested in this, you can click it via the link or go to the BlueFX of YouTube on BlueFX and find the channel. So these are the three things I offer right now. More will be coming soon, as I really like to help and provide a lot of value. Next to that, I also provide a free call. So if you're stuck with your trading, if you want to know more about what I offer with my company, you can easily schedule a free call, request to book, and then you can fill in the date and time that you want to schedule a meeting. It's very easy. And during the meeting, we talk one-on-one to see how I can help you, what you need help with, and what is the best way to approach it. Now, let's go over some charts. I haven't had any trades for quite some time now. I did have the Euro Aussie trade. I posted a while back in my Telegram channel, but I have highlighted some interesting areas on my chart. So let's take a look at some of the pairs. First of all, in the Euro CAD, and the yellow box to me is interesting. Why is it interesting? Because it's the last bit of structure before the entire move up. And if you look at the lows, we have two almost equal lows, which means there will be some liquidity below here. So if the market goes down, triggers liquidity, retouches this area, and then reclaims this level, I have a bullish bias targeting this area as the first interesting area to take profit at. And if we get a decent close through this area, so also through this level, I might look for a continuation targeting this area. So this area is the most important one. I never, ever, ever trade these areas just blindly by putting in a limit order, but I do highlight these areas on the hourly and the daily chart to basically see what happens when price reaches these areas, because I want to see what happens, how price reacts at these important areas. GJ still having a long bias, but haven't found an entry yet. The reason for the long bias is quite simple. Two lows that have been broken. I believe this one did get broken by a few pips. Basically, this is an important swing point because it caused this up move. This is another one because it caused this up move. Then we broke the swing point and put in a very, very bullish close. This means, in my mind, liquidity below the lows has been absorbed by a bigger player that wants to be long the market, and I always want to join that bigger player. So I'm still bullish on it long term, but haven't found an entry yet. Euro dollar. Let's remove this FIB tool. So if we go to the daily time frame and we take a look at the euro dollar, there still is no clear direction for me. I do think this low will get broken anytime soon because of liquidity purposes. And there's also this almost double bottom here. And as you can see at this area, we broke this important high, and then we have fallen down. And usually if one side of a range breaks and closes below, so you get a false breakout, usually the other side of the range gets broken as well, because this is the next point of vulnerability. This is where liquidity is. So I do expect at some point this to be broken. I'm not sure when, because I don't have a real bias on the euro dollar yet. This is an interesting area for me. This is an interesting area for me. And if we zoom in, the reason why is because look at the move down, no retracement at all, no retest at all. And if you look at the daily, it's quite an important structure in terms of touches over here, over here, over here. And I always want to look at the most recent bit of price action at certain levels. So if you take a look here, this would be the area I'm interested in to see how price reacts. And also over here, this yellow box. Why? Because we've had a massive level over here. Look at all the touches. These also, so this is very big structural level. Now we got a breakout. And usually price retests the last bit of resistance, which in my mind is the yellow box. So I want to see what happens once price goes down to this area. Do we get a move up? Do we get back above the level? Because if that's the case, this would be my first target if I get my entry targeting that area with a long, possibly at a retest. But depends on if I get my setup, yes or no. This one is also very interesting to use the swish. And the reason for that is that we've had an accumulation range over here. We also broke this important low, which is a very important one in my opinion. This low retested this accumulation range and then formed this entire up move. This is an important low to me. And if you look, we broke it, closed above. We also broke this low, closed above. And then we got a break of structure. And the break to the upside is, again, very, very aggressive. And usually very aggressive moves where there hasn't been a retracement yet. These moves usually get faded, get filled, or whatever you want to call it. Also, if you look at the hourly, look at the candle, it's massive. and usually there will be there hasn't been very much trading in this area, and there will be open orders. Now, what I then tend to do is to look at the last bit of structure price made, which is this area. I highlight it and I want to see what happens once price touches that area. And I usually prefer to see something like this. If this happens at this area and we get a close above this, I'm definitely long, because this is my setup. The target would be, if I use the discretionary target, this would be the first target. Why? Because this is the last bit of structure price made before the fall down. So this is usually the area that gets retouched. But first I need my entry, my setup, which is always mechanical. So I made mechanical rules for this, 100% black and white. But I have noticed that once my setup happens at certain key areas like this one, the probability of success increases. And that's why I want to see this happening over here. If that's the case, I'm long targeting this area. But it also depends on how my statistics line up at that very moment once the setup happens. Now, I want to talk about the Aussie CAD, and a lot of people always ask me how I determine if something is accumulation or if something is distribution or redistribution. And this was a very, very important structure to me. A lot of people thought it was accumulation. I was quite skeptical, and the way I always determine it is by highlighting the important areas. So first of all, this is an important area. This is an important area. This is an important area. This low is an important area. Why? Because these are the boundaries of the range. This is where liquidity will be resting. And what I want to see is how price reacts once the liquidity gets triggered. So let's start here. We form the top of the range. We form the low end of the range. Price moves up to the upside, doesn't break the high end of the range. To me, that means there will be more liquidity here. Because if there were stops resting above here, they didn't get triggered. But if people short anywhere in this area, the stops will also go above here. And if people would be buying the breakout, they would be buying above this area. So you can expect a lot of liquidity up here. Now price goes down, takes out this area, so it takes out the liquidity below, then moves up. Now, if we got a clean break above and a close above on the daily time frame, I would have been bullish. But if we look at this day, price takes out this high, basically absorbs liquidity and then closes here. At this moment, I am completely on the sideline, but I do expect this to be a UTAD in a redistribution range because of the liquidity. If this was a real accumulation, you want to see a clean close above and a follow through, which we did not see. So as soon as this candle closes, I want to see where price is going, and I expect it to be going here simply because we just took out liquidity up here, and generally speaking, the market then goes down to test the other side of the range, which happens. And as you can see, we got to close through the low end of the range. So at that point, I'm very bearish. And then to confirm redistribution, we got an inside day failure at this particular day. And then we broke structure over here, close below. At that point, you can be very, very certain that this is indeed redistribution, and this was the UTAD. And I actually got my entry set up over here to go short. It's not just a candle here, but many things lined up here. My mechanical rules lined up. I got my entry set up over here for a short, which would have played out nicely, but I didn't take it because I was reviewing the second quarter of the year and the first quarter of the year, and I still was working on some adjustments. So I didn't take the trade, but I did get multiple entry setups after this redistribution range. But the point is, you want to know exactly when something is accumulation and when something is redistribution. And hopefully now you do know a bit more about it. So these are the things I'm watching. These were the things I've been watching in the past. I hope you learned a lot from this session. Again, if you still haven't checked out the free stuff I have on my website, I highly, highly recommend it because I think you will learn a lot from it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe because we've also almost hit 400 subscribers. And then I speak to you in the next session.